Hello, thanks for staying with us here on Channels Television and warm welcome to you. You're watching the news at 5. I'm Ayotunde Balogum, and these are the stories we're making the rounds at this moment in time. We start off from the Federal High Court in Abuja, which has issued an arrest warrant for Mr. Adeniyi Adeyemi, the alleged Director General of the Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council, following his failure to appear for arraignment. Justice Mohammed Umar granted the application by the police prosecution after Mr. Adeyemi failed to take his plea on an 8-count charge involving alleged forgery, fraud and impersonation. The prosecution informed the court that the defendant had repeatedly failed to attend proceedings, while his lawyer explained that his absence was linked to alleged threats to his life. The charges against Mr. Adeyemi include alleged forgery of an appointment letter purportedly issued by President Bola Tinubu and signed by the Chief of Staff to the President, Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, as well as alleged misuse of official documents and claims of holding a government position. The court noted that Mr. Adeyemi had appeared only once since the case commenced and ordered security agencies to produce him for arraignment on September the 30th. Now, the Supreme Court has directed legal practitioners handling appeals on motions scheduled for hearing between September and December 2026 to upload all relevant court processes through the Nigerian Case Management System, in line with Rule 10.1 of the Supreme Court Practice Direction 2026. In a statement signed by the Chief Registrar of the Supreme Court, Kabir Akombi, counsel were advised to access the list of matters fixed for hearing by visiting the Supreme Court's website, selecting the litigation section, and navigating to the Nigerian Case Management System, where the list of appeals and motions scheduled for the period can be downloaded. The Apex Court said lawyers are required to upload all filed documents relating to their cases, including the record of appeal, briefs of argument, pending motions, and other court processes, at least 30 days before the scheduled hearing date. The court said the directive is aimed at ensuring full compliance with the Supreme Court Practice Direction, facilitating the seamless operation of the Nigerian Case Management System, and promoting the efficient and timely determination of cases. President Bola Tinubu has transmitted the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria Alteration State Police Bill 2026 to the House of Representatives, seeking a constitutional framework for the establishment of state police services. Now, the president says the bill includes safeguards for a dual policing structure to help strengthen national security and urges the lawmakers to give it expeditious consideration. In his letter to the Green Chamber, the president wrote, quote, "I am delighted to present to the House of Representatives for consideration the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria Alteration State Police Bill 2026, which seeks to amend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 to create a constitutional pathway for the establishment of state police services." Now, the President, in his correspondence, notes that the executive bill, which builds on the significant work already done by the House and incorporates additional safeguards to ensure that the creation of a dual policing structure to address Nigeria's evolving security challenges can be achieved quickly and effectively to the benefit of all Nigerians. A former special advisor on security to the Oyo State government, Mr. Fatai Owushin, is calling for greater proactivity from state governments across the country. Now, speaking earlier today on our breakfast program, The Morning Brief, the former Lagos State Commissioner of Police confirmed the release of the abducted Oyo School headmaster. He attributed the success of the rescue operation in Orire to the synergy between the state government, local residents and security operatives, emphasizing that states must now prioritize local collaboration rather than relying solely on the federal government.
If you have a state where the governor is more responsible and responsive to certain things and is able to provide some of the wherewithals, rather than, saying I'm running to Abuja, sit down with his security operatives in the state and, map out strategy. It may work faster. That is what. Then how do you bridge the trust deficit? Because in the case of Ogbomoso, this last incident, I must say it is not because I'm from this state. Everybody showed concern. People are ready to volunteer information. We have been doing that here. So information matters. These guys are not kept, they are not spirits. People will say them. And it now depends on how these people are able to translate that to intelligence for those operatives that will work. And again, in some of these things, the narratives that are given out, you mentioned that even yesterday an headmaster was kidnapped. That narrative was given out as if this headmaster was picked in the school. This is an headmaster that was coming from his farm. We are not saying it should happen. Nobody has even reported to say, oh, his release has been secured. So some of these narratives sometimes don't help us. So the difference is how much of cooperation you have from the community and how much of readiness the state is there to support.
Now, residents of Amaibunguru community in Ngokpala local government area of Imo State have staged a peaceful protest over the environmental degradation and security concerns allegedly caused by activities of illegal miners in that area. The protesters, comprising women and elders of the community, marched through the streets dressed in uniform attire, carrying placards and calling on the state government to urgently intervene and halt the illegal mining activities, which they say have destroyed farmlands and degraded their environment.
The essence of this protest is to call to government's attention the devastation of our environment. You can see that the land here has been eroded seriously. This is serious environmental hazard and a security risk because criminals now see this place as a hideout for their activities. All the neighboring lands have been affected by the mining of this land. So we don't want any landslide here, and that is why we are saying enough of this mining here.
Our land has been devastated by Borno people. You can see the environment yourself. Here now is a hideout for criminals. A very big hideout. They jump inside. Next you see them inside bush. They run away. People have the whole piece of land here. From here they encroach on another person's land. When they dig inside, that one will collapse. Then they come to negotiate to buy that one. When they dig inside, that one will collapse. Then they come to buy it. The whole land here is just being wasted for us. That's our problem.
The Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority Abeokuta Field Office has sealed 2 fuel stations engaging in under-dispensing of petroleum products and non-compliance with Petroleum Industry Act of 2023. Leading the enforcement team around Akute Ajuwon axis of Ogun State, the head of the distribution systems, storage and retailing infrastructure, Olufemi Adebowale, says this has become imperative in view of repeated breaches of regulatory requirements by the affected stations and the need to protect the rights of consumers from sharp practices. He says this is part of its ongoing effort to enforce compliance with industry regulations, protect consumers from sharp practices, and ensure that petroleum marketers dispense the correct quantity of products across the state.
Well, yeah, for a very simple and direct action, the Nigerian Midstream Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority is carrying out a lawful enforcement on this facility. Our record have shown that consistently that this company has been, violating our regulatory compliance, and we feel that it's high time we make it standard and they cannot continue to under-dispense, seal, deliberately moving the sea, and believing that not working, because when it comes to under-dispensing, they've been cheating the public when it comes to correct quantity being sold, to consumer, and also the act that when this station is sea, they don't have any authorization to operate. But we can see for yourself, evidently, deliberately move our sea and they continue operation, and that is against the Petroleum Act of year 2023.
Yobe State Governor Maimala Buni says any government that its administration of justice fails to operate optimally is bound to face challenges. Governor Buni disclosed this in Damaturu, the Yobe State capital, when he received the president of the NBA, the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Afam Osigwe. He explained that the state government has sponsored over 700 Yobe indigents at the Nigeria law schools in the last 7 years.
We are picking our pieces and even here commending the modest effort we are putting in place to support the legal profession. That reminds me of the reason why, in the first place, we value, we cherish, and we keep encouraging the legal profession. It's for the good of the society. Any society that doesn't have the justice system on track is doomed to fail.
Speaking to journalists after the meeting, Mr. Osigwe asked federal and state governments to improve the funding of the judiciary and increase the manpower to address the delay in the administration of justice.
The MBA has remained that the judiciary must do well to overcome the increasing negative perception of the people that the judiciary is sometimes corrupt, that justice, that even though courts render judgments, they don't do justice. Unfortunately, it's only a few persons who are involved in this, but the activities have marred the image and the perception of the larger number of the upright men and women who sit on the bench. And it is a collective call on all of us to do our best to ensure that not only does the judiciary do the right thing, we praise them when we have to, and also constructively criticize them, and not destructively criticize them or raise suspicions when there is no basis for one.
Governor of Borno State, Babagana Zulum, has approved the establishment of 2 boys and girls community secondary schools in Biu to meet the growing population of students in the area. The governor made the announcement during a tour of southern Borno across 5 local government areas. The governor also inspected the completed staff quarters at the Army University, Biu, and the proposed medical college of the university.
Governor Babagana Zulum is on the tour of southern Borno, and his first point of call is the government science secondary school, Wakabiu, one of the ancient schools established by missionaries, where he had an interaction with the principal and staff on their needs. He also visited the government girls' secondary school, Biu, and directed the construction of some boreholes in the school. He also directed that the feeding of students be increased. The governor also inspected the proposed site of the Community Boys' Day Secondary School and Girls' Day Secondary School in Biu. The governor's delegation also made a stop at the General Hospital Biu, where he announced the construction of 150-bed capacity complex and the upgrade of the existing General Hospital. At the Army University Biu, the governor inspected 2 blocks of 12 3-bedroom flats constructed by the Borno State government as staff quarters for the university. He also proposed to establish a College of Medical Sciences in the institution.
So far, so good. In terms of secondary school, this is what we are looking for. We have also visited the Army University Biu. You have seen the Borno State government has provided staff quarters to the Army University. 2 blocks of 12 3-bedroom flats are being provided with a view to providing accommodation to the academic and non-academic staff of the university. We are also here in the General Hospital, Biu. You have seen we are building an additional block, another befitting General Hospital in Biu, which is 150-bedded hospital. You know, if we add this to the existing facilities, this hospital will have a carrying capacity of nothing less than 300 to 400 patients. That means we shall upgrade this hospital to a specialist hospital.
Governor Zulum also announced the automatic employment of 17 volunteer nurses in Biu.
Only 2 of them are working here. So let's get more. And then later we shall also work with the National Youth Service Corps so that we can get more corps members. Thank you, sir. We shall recruit more nurses. Especially, I've given you the task to scout for nurses. and midwives that are an indigenous of Kwakusan, Bio, and Shan local government areas of the state.
During the governor's visit to the southern part of the state, he made a stop in all the 5 local government areas within the zone as part of his efforts to decentralize governance and monitor the execution of projects in the state.
Still to come after the break on News at 5 and on Business News, Dangote Petroleum Refinery sells petrol and diesel in dollars. Join us again on Business News. Welcome back. The Lagos State government has expanded its strategic transport master plan from 6 rail lines to 11 rail lines and 1 monorail to improve mass transit and meet the transportation needs in the state. The Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority announced the development following the signing of a memorandum of understanding with China's Civil Engineering Construction Corporation to establish a railway training center for the development of skilled manpower for the state's expanding rail network. Speaking at the ceremony, the managing director of Lamata, Mrs. Abimbola Akinjo, said the revised master plan reflects the state's growing transportation demands and its long-term vision of building an integrated and efficient public transport system. The CCECC Vice President, Zung Jiangjun, who was speaking through an interpreter, described the proposed railway training center as timely, saying it would combine classroom instruction, practical training, and simulation-based learning to produce skilled railway professionals.
So let us understand what Lagos is doing. We have an LRMT map. Today we have 5 rail lines and 1 monorail system identified. But in the update of the Strategic Transport Master Plan, we have added another 5 rail lines to that. So that means I'm looking in the long term to implementing 11 rail lines in Lagos. That means that those 11 rail lines has to be sustainable. We need to be able to provide experts to design, to implement, to operate those rail lines. And that means we need to begin to put the seed down for training. And that's what today is all about for us. We've started, but we now need to formalize. We have a proper training school, and the vision is not just about ad hoc training, but also certificated training systems, so that we will have signaling experts, we will have electrification experts, we will have major maintenance experts, will have train drivers, will have customer services experts, general operations of rail lines experts within our local community to be able to maintain the infrastructure that we implement. Because that way and that way alone will we be certain to deal with not just one problem, but 2. We will be able to deal with young people employment. We will be able to deal with the sustainability of the infrastructure that we implement so that it becomes sustainable and it is maintained and overseen by local engineers and operatives.
This important consensus aligns closely with Lamata's vision of developing local rail professionals and achieving sustainable, locally driven railway operations. And it also provides a strong foundation for our joint efforts in establishing this training center.
Welcome to Business News. Dangote Petroleum Refinery has fixed the ex-depot price of premium motor spirit PMS or petrol at 779 cents per litre, unveiling a new pricing template that also raised the benchmark prices for diesel and aviation fuel following its transition to dollar-denominated transactions. This marks an end to Naira payments for the purchase of refined products, which started after the October 1st, 2024 commencement of the Naira for crude deal. The revised prices, which took effect on Monday, place automotive gas oil, that's diesel, at $1.87 per litre, aviation turbine kerosene at $0.942 per litre, while coastal deliveries of petrol were fixed at $1,044.62 per metric ton. Meanwhile, the CEO of petroleumprice.ng, Jeremiah Olatide, has called for greater transparency in the federal government's Naira for crude policy. Mr. Olatide says there is a need to disclose the volume of crude oil supply to the Dangote refinery under the arrangement to determine the rationale behind the refinery's decision to switch the pricing of petrol and diesel from naira to dollars. He urges the federal government to intervene, noting that Nigeria's economy remains fragile and requires policies that promote stability and protect consumers from further economic pressure. He was speaking on our business program, the Business Morning Show.
That particular contract needs a whole lot of transparency. Experts like us need to know what makes up that contract. How many quantity is being given to Dangote in naira? What other quantity is given to Dangote in dollar? So we could be able to evaluate and know why is Dangote refinery coming up with this particular dollar initiative. So including a dollar transaction into the gantry sales will inflict more pain. So I hope the federal government understands that the economy is fragile, the downstream sector is fragile. A whole lot of intervention is needed this particular period of time.
Fitch Ratings has affirmed Benue State's long-term foreign and local currency issuer default ratings IDRS at B with a stable outlook following an increase in productivity and economic activity growth. Now, the Group Managing Director of Benue Investment and Property Company Limited, Mr. Raymond Asemaka, in a statement issued on Monday, commends the latest Fitch affirmation of Benue State's credit rating by the global rating agency Fitch Ratings, describing it as a testament to the prudent and visionary management of the state's economy under the leadership of Governor Hyacinth Alia of Benue State. Fitch Ratings, in its latest report for July 2026, affirmed Benue State's long-term issuer default rating at B and the national long-term rating from A- NGA to A NGA with a stable outlook. Now, the federal government says it has granted more than 6 billion naira in tax waivers to 47 Nigerian pharmaceutical manufacturers under the Presidential Executive Order on Health Products. According to the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, the initiative is aimed at boosting local drug production and reducing the country's reliance on imported medicines. The government also disclosed that 115 pharmaceutical companies have been enrolled in the incentive program, with more firms expected to join as efforts to strengthen Nigeria's healthcare manufacturing sector continue. And electricity distribution companies have pushed back against a new directive by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission requiring them to create dedicated capital expenditure accounts. The DISCOs say the order gives the regulator undue control over how privately owned utilities manage their revenues and could discourage investment in the power sector. However, NERC insists the policy is intended to boost infrastructure development, improve electricity service delivery, and strengthen financial discipline across the industry. And that's the news at 5 at this time. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. The World Today is up next.